It was a Tuesday afternoon when my phone buzzed with a text that would change everything. I was at my desk, grading papers, half watching the rain streak down my office window. The sky was gray and dreary, matching my mood perfectly. I'd been feeling off all day, that vague sense of unease that you can't quite put your finger on. Little did I know, that feeling was about to make perfect sense. My sister Chelsea was getting married. Finally, after 8 years of dating the same guy, she'd finally said yes. I'd honestly started to wonder if it would ever happen. If I'm being real with you, they'd been together so long that we all just assumed they were basically married anyway. They'd lived together for 6 years, shared a dog, shared a life, but nope. He finally popped the question, and now here we were, planning a wedding. My name's Monica, I'm 37, a high school art teacher, and I've been married to my husband Marcus for 12 years. We've got 2 kids, a daughter named Sophie, who's 14, and a son named Ethan, who's 11. We've got a mortgage, a minivan, and the kind of stable, boring life that I actually really appreciate. It wasn't always that way. I've had my share of drama, believe me. I'd been through a rough patch in my 20s, a string of bad relationships and bad decisions. But I'd finally gotten to a place where things were calm, predictable, and safe. Chelsea is my younger sister by 4 years. We've always been close, but also competitive. She's the one who got all the attention growing up. The pretty one, the popular one, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. She had the perfect grades, the perfect friends, the perfect boyfriends. I was the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who always did the right thing. It was just kind of how things worked in our family. I was the steady one. She was the star. So when she asked me to be her maid of honor, I was surprised. Happy, sure, but surprised. We weren't that close anymore. She lived in a different state. We saw each other maybe twice a year, and our conversations were mostly surface-level stuff. We drifted apart over the years, our lives going in different directions. But she said she wanted me there, that it meant a lot to her, that she couldn't imagine getting married without me by her side. She said I was her sister, her only sister, and she needed me there. I said yes. Of course I said yes. She was my sister, and despite everything, despite the years of distance and the unspoken competition, I loved her. I'd always loved her. The next few months were a whirlwind of wedding planning. Chelsea was a bridezilla, and I don't say that lightly. She was obsessed with every tiny detail. The flowers had to be a specific shade of pink. Not too light, not too dark, exactly the right shade. The table settings had to be perfectly aligned, every fork and knife in its proper place. The music had to be exactly right. Not too loud, not too soft, just the right volume. She micromanaged everything, drove everyone crazy, and made it clear that this wedding was going to be the most important event of her entire life. I tried to be patient, I really did. I helped with invitations, went dress shopping, attended countless meetings with vendors. I was there for every meltdown, every crisis, every moment of panic. I was the supportive big sister, just like I'd always been. I listened to her complain about the caterer, the florist, the photographer, the venue. I held her hand when she cried about her dress not fitting. I talked her down when she threatened to call off the whole thing. But there was something about the whole thing that felt off. Chelsea was different, distant, secretive. She'd get phone calls and step out of the room. She'd spend hours on her laptop and close it the second I walked in. She'd make plans with her other bridesmaids and conveniently forget to include me. She'd cancel our lunch dates at the last minute, always with some vague excuse. I tried to brush it off. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was just jealous of all the attention she was getting. Maybe I was reading too much into things. Maybe I was just being a typical overprotective older sister. But then I found the list, and everything changed. It was about 6 weeks before the wedding. I was staying at Chelsea's apartment, helping her organize some last-minute details. She'd run out to pick up lunch, and I was alone in her living room, surrounded by stacks of wedding magazines and sample invitations and color swatches. Her laptop was open on the coffee table. I wasn't snooping. I was just trying to find a pen to write down some notes about the seating arrangements. But my elbow brushed against the mouse, and the screen lit up. And there it was. A document that was still open. A document titled, Wedding Dress Shopping List. I shouldn't have read it. I know I shouldn't have. It was none of my business. It was a private document. But my eyes were already scanning the words before I could stop myself. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. I couldn't look away. The first thing that caught my attention was the price. $50,000 for a wedding dress. $50,000. That was more than I made in a year. More than some people made in 2 years. More than some people made in 3 years. And she was planning to spend it on a dress she was going to wear for one day, one single day. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. It was the names, the list of people who were supposed to contribute to this dress fund. My name was on it, my parents' names, my husband's name, my in-laws' names, even my kids' names, for crying out loud. She'd included everyone, and next to each name was a specific amount. $5,000 from me, $10,000 from my parents, $3,000 from Marcus, $2,000 from my in-laws, and so on. It was a carefully crafted plan to get as much money as possible from everyone she knew. A detailed budget of who owed what. But there was more. A lot more. Below the dress list was another section. A list of gifts she was planning to ask for. Not wedding gifts, not registry items. Cash. Specific amounts from specific people. A suggested donation for the wedding. A minimum contribution for attending the reception. A mandatory fee for the bridal party. It was all laid out like a business plan. I stared at the screen, my mind reeling. This wasn't a wedding. This was a shakedown. An elaborate, well-orchestrated scheme to squeeze money out of everyone she knew. A carefully planned con. And I was at the top of the list. I didn't know what to do. I was so angry I could barely see straight. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. But I also didn't want to jump to conclusions. Maybe I was reading it wrong. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation. Maybe it was just a joke. Maybe she was planning to pay everyone back. I took a picture of the screen with my phone, just in case. Then I closed the laptop and waited for Chelsea to come back. When she walked through the door, I was sitting on the couch, my arms crossed, my face like stone. She was carrying sandwiches, humming a little tune, looking like she didn't have a care in the world. "Hey," she said, smiling. "I got sandwiches. Turkey and Swiss, just like you like. And I got some of those cookies you love from the bakery down the street." "We need to talk," I said, my voice cold. Her smile faltered. She could tell something was wrong. "What's wrong? You look upset. Did something happen while I was gone?" "I found your wedding dress shopping list. Chelsea, the one on your laptop. The one with all the names and the amounts and the mandatory fees." The color drained from her face. It was like watching a ghost take over her body. She dropped the sandwiches on the counter and stared at me, her eyes wide with panic. That's not what it looks like," she said, her voice shaky. "You don't understand. It's not what you think." "Really? Because it looks like you're planning to demand money from everyone you know?" "Including me. Including our parents. Including my kids. What the hell is going on? What are you doing?" She started crying. Real tears, streaming down her face, her shoulders shaking. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have told you. I should have been honest with you from the beginning. I was just so scared." "Honest about what? That you're using your wedding to scam people out of their money? That you're treating your friends and family like ATMs? That you've turned your wedding into a fundraising scheme?" "It's not a scam. It's a fundraiser. I need the money, Monica. Desperately. I'm drowning. I don't know what else to do. Need the money for what? A $50,000 dress? Mandatory fees for the bridal party? What kind of wedding are you planning? What kind of person does this? She took a deep breath, trying to compose herself. I'm in debt, really bad debt. Credit cards, student loans, payday loans. I've been hiding it from everyone. I'm drowning, Monica. I don't know what else to do. I was desperate. I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. How much debt are we talking about? How bad is it? Almost $100,000. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. 100,000? Chelsea, how did you even accumulate that much debt? What happened? I made bad decisions. I was stupid. I thought I could handle it, and then it just spiraled. I got desperate, and when Derek proposed, I saw it as a way out, a way to get the money I needed. I thought if I could just get enough money, I could fix everything. I could start over. By tricking everyone into giving you money for a wedding? That's insane. That's not a solution. That's just another bad decision. That's just more lying, more manipulation. I know it is. But I didn't know what else to do. I was so scared. I was so scared of losing everything. I was so scared of everyone finding out. I didn't believe her, not entirely. Something about her explanation felt off. It was too convenient, too calculated. And I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. So I started doing some digging. I checked her social media. Her posts were all about luxury trips, expensive dinners, designer clothes. She was living a life she clearly couldn't afford. She was posting pictures from Paris, from Milan, from the Bahamas. She was wearing designer brands and eating at five-star restaurants. But that wasn't new. She'd always been like that. Always trying to keep up with the Joneses, always trying to project an image of success. I checked her financial records. What I found made my stomach turn. There were loans I didn't know about, credit cards with maxed-out balances, shopping sprees at high-end stores, trips to exotic locations. She'd been living way beyond her means for years. And now the bill was coming due. But there was more. A lot more. I found emails between Chelsea and Derek. They were planning this together. The wedding, the dress fund, the suggested donations. It was all part of a carefully crafted scheme to get as much money as possible from friends and family. They'd been strategizing for months. And then I found the worst part. The part that made my blood run cold. Chelsea wasn't just planning to use the money to pay off her debts. She was planning to use it to fund her escape. She and Derek were planning to take the money and disappear. Move to a different country. Start a new life. Leave everyone behind. They had plane tickets. They had passports. They had everything planned. I couldn't believe it. My own sister. The woman I'd loved and protected my whole life. She was planning to steal from me, from our parents, from everyone she knew. And then she was going to run away and never look back. I didn't confront her right away. I needed time to process, time to figure out what to do. I couldn't just walk in and accuse her without a plan. I talked to my husband first. He was shocked, angry, and protective. He wanted to call the whole thing off, to expose Chelsea, to make sure she didn't get away with it. He wanted to call the police and let them handle it. But I wasn't ready to do that. Not yet. She was still my sister, and despite everything, I still loved her. I still wanted to believe there was good in her. So I decided to do something drastic. Something I'd never done before. I called our parents. I called my other siblings. I called Chelsea's closest friends. And I told them everything, the debt, the scheme, the plan to disappear, the whole sordid story. At first, nobody believed me. They thought I was exaggerating, being dramatic, trying to cause trouble. They said I was jealous of Chelsea's happiness. They said I was trying to ruin her wedding. They said I was being a typical bitter older sister. But then I showed them the evidence. The emails, the financial records, the shopping list, the plane tickets. And when they saw the proof, their attitudes changed. They were horrified, angry, devastated. They couldn't believe that Chelsea had been planning this all along. We decided to have an intervention. A group of people who loved Chelsea, sitting her down and telling her the truth. No judgment, no accusations, just honesty, just love, just the truth. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. We met at our parents' house. Everyone was there. Mom, Dad, my other siblings, Chelsea's closest friends, and me. The ringleader. The one who'd started all of this. Chelsea walked in and saw us all sitting there. Her face went white. She knew something was wrong. She could feel it in the air. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice shaky. "Why is everyone here? What happened?" "Sit down, Chelsea," our mom said, her voice gentle but firm. "We need to talk to you. We have something important to tell you." We told her everything. What we'd found, what we'd learned, how she'd been planning to use her wedding to scam people out of money, how she'd been planning to disappear, how she'd been lying to everyone. She didn't deny it. She couldn't. The evidence was too overwhelming. She just sat there, her face pale, her hands shaking, tears streaming down her cheeks. She broke down, cried so hard she couldn't breathe, begged for forgiveness, promised to make things right, promised to change. I didn't know what else to do. She sobbed. I was so scared. I was so desperate. I thought if I could just get enough money, I could fix everything. I could start over. I could be happy. I could escape all of this. "Running away isn't fixing things," I said. "It's just running away. You can't solve your problems by hiding from them. You can't build a new life on a foundation of lies." "I know. I know that now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I'm sorry for lying to you. I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for being such a terrible person." We talked for hours about her debt, about her mistakes, about her fears. And slowly, gradually, she started to open up, started to share the things she'd been hiding for so long. She told us about her struggles with anxiety and depression, about her fear of being judged, about her belief that she wasn't good enough, that she'd never be good enough, that the only way to feel valuable was to pretend to be someone she wasn't. She told us about the pressure she'd felt to be perfect, to have the perfect life, the perfect wedding, the perfect marriage. It was heartbreaking, and it was also incredibly honest. We didn't let her off the hook. We made her face the consequences of her actions. We made her cancel the wedding. We made her pay back the money she'd already collected. We made her get therapy. We made her face the mess she'd created. But we also supported her. We loved her. We helped her through the darkest moment of her life. We didn't abandon her, even though we had every right to. It wasn't easy. There were fights. There were tears. There were moments when I thought we'd never get through it. But we did, because she was family, and family doesn't give up on each other. Chelsea moved back home. She got a job, a real job. She started paying off her debt. She went to therapy and started dealing with the issues that had led her down this path. She started taking responsibility for her life. She and Derek broke up. He'd been part of the scheme, and she couldn't trust him anymore. He'd been enabling her, encouraging her, and she realized that he wasn't good for her. It was painful, but it was necessary. She needed to start fresh, to build a life that was honest and real. It took years, years of hard work, of struggle, of learning to forgive herself. But eventually she got there. She became the person she'd always wanted to be, strong, honest, resilient. She became someone I was proud to call my sister, and I was so incredibly proud of her. The wedding never happened. Chelsea and Derek called it off, and she spent the next few years focusing on herself. It was hard. There were days when she wanted to give up, when she felt like she'd never be happy again. There were nights when she cried herself to sleep. But she didn't give up. She kept fighting, and eventually she found her way. She met someone new, a good man, an honest man, a man who loved her for who she was, not for what she could give him, a man who saw her flaws and loved her anyway. They got married a few years later. A small ceremony. Just family and close friends. No expensive dress, no mandatory fees, no hidden agendas, just love, just honesty, just two people promising to build a life together. And I was her maid of honor, again. But this time it was different. This time, she was truly happy. This time, she wasn't hiding anything. This time, she was walking down the aisle with her head held high. I'll never forget the look on her face when she walked down the aisle. She was glowing, radiant, happy, not because she was getting a fancy wedding, but because she was marrying a man she loved, a man she trusted, a man who made her feel safe. It was one of the most beautiful moments of my life. So what's the lesson here? What's the takeaway from all of this? I think it's this. Sometimes the people we love make terrible mistakes. Sometimes they hurt us in ways we never thought possible. Sometimes they betray our trust in the worst way. But that doesn't mean we should give up on them. That doesn't mean we should stop loving them. That doesn't mean we should turn our backs on them. Because love isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up. It's about being there. It's about helping each other through the darkest moments. It's about forgiveness. It's about grace. And sometimes the hardest thing we can do is be honest. To tell the truth, even when it hurts. To confront the people we love, even when it's uncomfortable. To hold them accountable, even when it's easier to look the other way. To stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. But that's what real love looks like. It's not about making things easy. It's about making things right. It's about helping each other become the best versions of ourselves. And at the end of the day, that's what I did for Chelsea. I showed up. I was honest. I held her accountable. And I loved her through it all. It wasn't easy. It wasn't pretty. But it was real. And that's what matters. If you're reading this and you're in a situation like the one I was in, I want you to know something. I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to feel betrayed. But I also want you to know that it's okay to forgive. It's okay to give someone a second chance. It's okay to believe that people can change. It's okay to hope. Because they can. I've seen it with my own eyes. My sister changed. She became a better person. She learned from her mistakes. And she built a life that was honest and real. And I'm so proud of her. So incredibly proud of the woman she's become. So don't give up on the people you love. Don't turn your back on them when they need you most. Don't let your anger or your hurt keep you from showing up. Don't let pride stand in the way of healing. Because sometimes, the greatest gift you can give someone is your forgiveness. And sometimes, the greatest gift they can give you is their honesty. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can give each other is a second chance. That's what happened with me and Chelsea. We forgave each other. We trusted each other, and we built a relationship that's stronger than it ever was before. We became sisters in the truest sense of the word. And that's the real wedding gift. Not the dress, not the money, not the fancy party, not the perfect flowers or the perfect music or the perfect venue. Just love. Honest, real, unconditional love. That's what matters. That's what lasts. That's what we all deserve. Loved this story? Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a video. I upload brand new stories every single day. Gripping, emotional, and packed with twists that'll keep you guessing until the very end. Don't forget to like this video if it gave you all the feels. Comment below, have you ever discovered a secret that changed how you saw someone you love? How did you handle it? I read every single comment. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the best lessons come from other people's experiences. Got a story idea? Drop it in the comments. Your suggestion might just become the next video on this channel. Subscribe now and join our growing family of story lovers. New videos drop daily at 7 a.m. EST. Perfect to watch with your morning coffee. Trust me, You don't want to miss what's coming next. Until next time, stay honest, stay strong, and never stop believing that people can change. Because they can. And sometimes, that change is the greatest gift of all.